Again for another stream. Welcome to the GavGoesIn podcast. Big up Reluctant Gamer. Big up to Barbara Joseph. Manchester United 4, Athletic Bilbao 1. And 7-1 on aggregate. Did I see that coming? I didn't. And first things first. Let's just get the negatives out of the way. To be honest with you, the lineup he played, I wasn't too happy with the lineup. I thought that, Amorim needed to give Athletic Bilbao something to think about. Big up to Daniela Iacona as well. I thought that Amorim needed to give Bilbao something to think about and go and attack. But the team that he played, I think, was big up Reluctant Gamer. The team that he played, as I said, I think was the obvious team he was going to play. And to be honest with you, the scoreline in the end, 4-1, you'd probably say that, well, let's be honest, no one saw that scoreline coming because Bilbao got the early goal, in the first half, and, they were the team that were causing the problems. But it just shows you, Man United have players that can do something out of the ordinary, and as Michael Kirby said, it did flatter us. And you know what? As I said, I'm going to get the negatives out of the way first. But what I would say, if this kind of performance turns up in the final, if we say the first half performance and, 20 minutes into the second half, if United turn up in the final like this, then they won't be so lucky. And I think first and foremost, we have to realise that Athletic Bilbao were missing 4 of their key players, And I would say United have got to the final, but the last 3 games they've played, Real Sociedad, Lyon and Bilbao, if we're talking about the second leg as well, there's been 10 men and their other team has been missing key players, So United have still had to do the job, but, I think they can count themselves very fortunate because that first half was shocking, And as I said, the team he played, was very defensive, as we always know with Amorim. And then it just takes the subs, to go and rescue the game. So this is what I'm trying to say about Ruben Amorim. He's getting away with it, and we keep hearing that that Amorim needs his players, and this squad is shit. And it's the players again that have bailed the manager out. Because let's not kid ourselves now, If this wasn't for the likes of Ahmad, Mason Mount coming off the pitch, producing some magic, Man United wouldn't have won this game, But to run out 4-1 winners in the end, as I said, I think it's important to keep realism there because that wasn't a great performance. It just shows that Man United have players that can turn a tie, And I think against opposition, and especially against Tottenham, I don't think it's going to be a foregone conclusion that they go and beat Tottenham. What I would say is that with the players they have that can show up in moments, United can always nick a game. But I think up against Tottenham, they're not going to be as fortunate because Bilbao dominated that first half, but they were toothless up front, let's be honest. And I think, as I said, man, I think first and foremost, we have to look at the negatives and see where United went wrong. And for me, his team selection for me was all wrong. His team selection was all wrong for me. He should have started with a more attacking lineup. And again, the subs he's had to bring on to rescue the game. And I think it's important that people actually be aware of this. But I think United's still unbeaten in this competition and obviously into the final against Tottenham. Guys, I will be doing a live watch-along for that game as well for the final. Again, I'll be keeping it... I'll let you guys know, but I will be doing a live watch-along for that. 21st of May on Wednesday against Tottenham. And as I said, it's going to be a tough game for United. And we'll have to wait and see. I think in terms of performances, let's start off with the captain, Bruno Fernandes, And again, this is what Bruno Fernandes does, If you look at Bruno Fernandes for the whole game, he was very poor. Obviously been subject of interest from Saudi, from Al Hilal. But let's be honest, he was very poor today. And he has been poor for the majority of the season. I think what people have done now, they've seen him get a couple of goals over the last few months, and they've automatically kidded themselves that Bruno has actually had a good season. Today he was poor, but again, he's on every free kick, every corner, the penalties, and the ball he put into the box for Casemiro. Again, wasn't a great ball, but Casemiro directed the ball into the goal. And again, Casemiro, as you guys can see in the thumbnail, another great performance from Casemiro, man. You know, and this is a guy that this fan base want out the club. And let's be honest with you, he's been instrumental in United making it to this final. And he's going to be instrumental in the final as well against Tottenham. So, big up Casemiro, man. Manuel Ugarte, again, Amorim admission that, you know, Manuel Ugarte, you know, he always takes off Ugarte when they're trying to rescue a game. And again, for me, this is poor management, because you're really wasting a sub. Just don't start him in the first place. And as I said, you know, Manuel Ugarte, I mean, we know what Ugarte is all about. You know, he puts out fires, you know, but on the ball, you know, he's very careless, gives the ball away too much. And for me, as I said, Amorim is hell-bent on playing this player, but he has to rectify it by moving Bruno back into midfield and putting on a more attacking player, you know, which, again, is poor judgment from the manager. So those were the few things. And again, first half football was poor. Second half was no different. But, you know, the introduction of Amad Diallo, I mean, what a player Amad Diallo is. I mean, you know, we keep hearing that this team should be built around Bruno, you know. Amad Diallo is the truth, and he's the one that this team needs to be built around. And I was happy to see Amad playing as the right 10, you know. And he was instrumental in United overturning this game. And for me, you know, these commentators, the likes of these Robbie Savages of this world, absolute clown. And don't get me wrong, guys. Mason Mount, yeah? Mason Mount has scored 2, I would say, world-class goals, you know? Hats off to Mason Mount, because when you score 2 goals of that quality, you know, you deserve nothing but praise, and he's going to get the praise from everyone. But this is what I mean about these pundits and certain players. There's certain players that don't have to do too much to get praise, you know, whereas other players, they have to do a lot more to get half the respect, you know. And let's get it right. Mason Mount scored 2 good goals. But the way Robbie Savage was going over the top, as if Mason Mount does this every week, and he doesn't. And the thing is, Mason Mount has spent half his time injured, and when he has played, he's been poor. But tonight, he came on, and again, like Amad, he's had crucial moments, which has changed the game. You know, and again, 2 great goals from Mason Mount. But I don't want people getting carried away to now say that Mason Mount has to start, Mason Mount has to stay at the club, because 2 goals don't change my mind personally, you know. And as I said, he will be getting his praise, but the way that these commentators and the way that now people are going to be overgassing Mason Mount, I'm just waiting for it, because, you know, this is where the standards come into it. You know, he scored 2 very good goals, but the majority of his time that he's he's been here, he's been poor. So, as I said, let's just keep this. Let's just keep this in retrospect. To be honest with you, because the way that Robbie Savage was going on is embarrassing, man. To be honest with you. So yeah, what I would say, you know, let's go through a quick performances, guys. I will get back to your comments after I've discussed obviously a few of the performances. You know, Andre Onana, to be fair, didn't really have too much to do. The goal that Bilbao scored, to be fair, if we're being very critical, you know, he could have at least got a bit more of a fist to it. But I think the guy hit it well, and there wasn't too much that he could do, you know. And again, I think if we're being overly critical, you're going to look at Onana saying that he should have saved it. But to be fair, quiet game, which is what you want to see. I think in terms of him coming for the crosses, I think he done a lot better, and he can be happy with his display. Moving on to defense, Lenny Yoro. Guys, Lenny Yoro, I'm telling you this now. This guy, for me, has got the makings to be the best centre back in the world. You know, again, Lenny Yoro's playing in the three. You know, I prefer to see Lenny Yoro in the two, personally. You know, but I think Lenny Yoro tonight was arguably man of the match. You know, the way he drives forward with the ball, defensively, he's sound as well. You know, he doesn't really get beaten for pace. His composure on the ball, the fact that he can play left centre back, right centre back, and just make it seem like a seamless transition. What a player, man! And at 19 years of age, again, this is a guy that is going right to the very top. And I think the only way United realistically can keep hold of a Lenny Yoro is if United show the ambition to match Lenny Yoro, because this guy is too good to be playing in a team that is struggling at the bottom. You know, so as I said, next season, Ineos just need to be making the right additions to the squad, you know, getting rid of the right players and showing the likes of a Lenny Yoro and Amad Diallo that this club is serious. You know, what a performance from Lenny Yoro. And again, was instrumental in Mason Mount's first goal and instrumental in the assist that Amad played for the Hoyland goal. You know, overall a great performance, and another guy that was on a booking that managed to escape the booking as well, you know, because he would have missed the final. So, yeah, man, Lenny Yoro, man, what a player he is. Big up Lenny Yoro. Harry Maguire. Again, Maguire, you know, I think Maguire's had a decent two legs, personally. I think the goal that Bilbao scored, you know, was from his mistake. But I think overall, you know, Bilbao didn't really cause him too many problems, you know. And again, Bilbao didn't have were missing 4 starters for them. And, you know, I think personally that would have killed them before the game. Although I do think they were quite decent, but you can see going forwards they were toothless, man. And I think if they had Inaki or Nico Williams, or at least one of them. Sorry, guys, give me 1 minute. Yeah. If they had at least one of them, Inaki or Nico Williams, I think they might have been a bit more dangerous, if I'm honest, you know. But for me, Harry Maguire, yeah, he was commanding there today. And I think his battle with, is it Marone Sonardi? I think he probably won that battle in the end, you know. And again, another decent display. Right side centre-back, Victor Lindelof. I thought Lindelof, again, another player that's coming into the back line. And to be fair, didn't really put a foot wrong. You know, again, we know Lindelof's going at the end of the season. But I think if he can come in, you know, and just play his part, you know, and again, he's played his part in United getting to the final, you know, it'll be a good farewell at the end of the season when he leaves. And if he can lift a trophy, all the better, really, you know. But yeah, I thought decent display from all the defence. Mazraoui, right wing back. Again, not much to say about Mazraoui. Mr. Consistent. And what I would say, you know, I was thinking, is he going to start this game? And obviously he played the game. Obviously got a booking earlier on as well. But again, there's not really much to say about Mazraoui because he's the most consistent player in the squad. And what a signing he's been. You know, someone that can play right wing back, right centre back, left wing back, and he always just puts in a decent shift, man. So yeah, what a performance from Nusayr Mazraoui. Guys, as I said, I will get back to your comments after. I'm just gonna go through the players. Left wing back Patrick Dorgu. Dorgu put in a great ball for Garnacho, who I won't mention it now, but we'll go on to Garnacho. But Dorgu, for me, I think he grew into the game. You know, the way that Dorgu gets used, I'm not really happy with, you know, because Dorgu, for me, does have the physicality and the pace. But I just wish that the team would, you know, use him a bit more in terms of build-up and just stop relying on him to get him behind, because that is going to take its toll, you know. And I do think he has a lot more to offer than just that. But I think in terms of his overall game, you know, obviously he moved to right wing back, and you know what? Him moving to right wing back just showed, you know, what Amarim is missing out on. He's moving a left footer to the right wing back and bringing on Ahmad, and you're having two threats out there. And it just shows you that if he continues with that, Man United will be a much more of an attacking threat. Having Ahmad as a right 10, Dorgu as a the right wing back, that looked a lot better, you know. But whether he's going to continue that, I don't know. But it just showed how much of a threat United were when he moved Dorgu to the right wing back and Ahmad to bringing on Ahmad as a number 10 and as a right 10. You know, people will say that was good. That was good. That was very good tactically from Amarim. But I think Amarim was forced into that decision because the team were getting overplayed, overrun. But I just want him to start with that, and then we can see, you know, if Amarim is learning his lesson, you know. But again, Dorgu for me, I thought he grew into the game and had a very good second half. Moving on to midfield, I've already mentioned Ugarte. Ugarte does put out fires, and there was a couple of times where he did make some good interceptions. But for me, on the ball, you know, he's very careless. And against better opposition, you can't afford to have a player like that is just careless with the ball, and you're not sure if he's going to keep it or not. You know, I think in terms of him, you know, identifying danger, we know that's what Ugarte is about. But Man United moving forward need to get better quality in that position for me. And he for me is a squad player at best. I don't think next season, if Man United are looking to, you know, move up the table and do something serious in the season, he can be a starter. You know, I think if you're bringing him on to see a game out, I think that's the best option for Manuel Ugarte. Casemiro, you know, wasn't as good as he was in the first leg, but this guy is an absolute leader. And that's why he's on my thumbnail, because, you know, this is the kind of player that you want at your club. And again, Casemiro pops up with a header, you know, to secure the win. And again, you know, there's people saying that Casemiro's finished, his legs are gone, he should be moved on because of his wage. Casemiro has just shown in these last two rounds of the Europa League why he's had the career he's had, you know, because let's make no mistake about it. No Casemiro, United are already out of the Europa League, because his decision to play the ball to Harry Maguire, other players would have shot in that instant, you know. So he deserves his credit, and he has to stay next season, you know. Again, I would go as far as saying make Casemiro the captain. He needs to be the captain. He's the real captain, not Bruno Fernandes. He's the real captain, Casemiro. And again, what a performance from Cas, man. And as I said, man, he has to definitely stay. And I'm hoping Ineos are looking at this and thinking, yes, this guy's proved us wrong, or he's not even proved them wrong. He's proved Amarim wrong, you know, because again, man, if he's not in this team doesn't get through these next couple of rounds for sure. You know, but again, he wasn't great tonight, but again, he comes up when he needs, and it's the experience of Casemiro. Moving on to the 10s. Again, Bruno I've already mentioned. Bruno was very poor and has been, as I said, for the majority of the season. But again, people are going to look at, you know, he got an assist for Casemiro's goal. And again, it's just going to add to the, you know, to the overrating of Bruno, because again, if you're putting his assist to the side, he was poor. You know, he was giving the ball away. You know, he wasn't really tracking back as much. And again, him playing in that 10, you know, he's useless. Does nothing in this system. Him playing as an 8, he's a lot better. But on the whole, he was poor. But people are just going to focus on the fact that he got the assist for Casemiro and ignore his performance. And this is the problem with Bruno Fernandes, you know. It's like, as I said, there's certain players that have to do a lot more to get half the respect. And there's players like Bruno who can be poor for the whole game, and people will just turn a blind eye to it and start telling you that, you know, he's got an assist. And this is the problem. So, again, he was poor. Alejandro Garnacho. Guys, listen. Amad Diallo has just shown you the levels. He's shown the levels because he has directly replaced Garnacho, and look at the impact of Amad. You know, Ahmad's impact on that game was clear for all to see. And there should be no debate as to who the real star boy in this team is. And that is Ahmad. You know, it's Garnacho has never been that player. And the chance that he missed where Patrick Dorgu put him through, again, you know, this is the arrogance of the player. And the thing with Garnacho is that Garnacho doesn't even have that in his game. To think that he has the cheek to dink it over the keeper, you know, when really that isn't his skill set, just shows you that this guy is in over his head, because he thinks he's better and he thinks he's a lot better than what he really is. And for me, he should have just slid that into the corner. United 1-0 up, end of story. Or 1-1, end of story. But the fact that he wanted to dink the ball over the keeper, again, he doesn't really know his level, because that kind of finish there is only meant to be for the real talents, you know, and he isn't that, you know, and that could have cost United the game. And as you can see, when he came off, I think he was surprised that he came off. But again, you know, Amad Diallo has just shown Garnacho the levels, because I think if Garnacho stays on that pitch, and Amad doesn't come on in that position, I would have dreaded to have seen what the end result would have been, because I don't think the result would be what it was today, because Ahmad came on and just gave a different dimension to this team. And as I said, the fact that he's back now, this next season, this team needs to be built around him. You know, I feel absolutely disgusted by the likes of Eric Ten Hag, that the fact that you got a talent like this, you know, this was a guy that was at Atalanta, you know, and they were calling him Young Messi. This is how highly thought of he was. And the fact that he came to United, you know, he wasn't getting played under, I think, was it Solskjaer that wasn't playing him, or was it Ten Hag? I can't remember. But Ten Hag didn't give him no chances, and Ahmad was always the scapegoat under Ten Hag. And the thing with Ahmad, you have to respect Ahmad's work and his personality, because many players would have just thought, you know what, this club ain't for me, and moved on, or asked for a transfer. The guy's got his head down, you know, and he's just believed in himself. And look at it now. You've got Ahmad now, who's indispensable to this club, because this is a player. If United was to cash in on Ahmad, he's going to any of the top teams in the world. He can go and play for a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, a PSG, a Bayern Munich, Man City in this country. Obviously, he won't go there. Liverpool, obviously, he won't go there. He's that good. Chelsea. He can go and play for any club in the world. He's that good, Ahmad, you know. And the thing with Ahmad is that he's been playing as a wing-back, you know. Imagine if you get a cohesive team and he's playing as the right 10, the amount of damage he can do. Because that cameo that he's come on and done was nothing short of world-class, what he's produced. And again, going back to Garnacho, this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. Man United just need to cash in on this player, you know. I don't care how old he is. He just isn't good enough. He isn't the level, you know. And Ahmad's just shown that in what? 20 minutes, 25 minutes? He's just shown that. So, for me, Garnacho, another poor game. You know, obviously, last game against Brentford, great finish. This game, again, he's very hit and miss, Garnacho, and he's more miss than hit, let's be honest. So, for me, another poor performance. And the same with Rasmus Højlund, you know. Rasmus Højlund spends half his time on the floor, you know. I'm not going to dwell too much on these players, because people that's watched me, you know my thoughts on both of them. Rasmus Højlund got his goal, all of Ahmad's work, or Lenny Yoro and Ahmad's work. But Rasmus Højlund, I mean, to be fair, he couldn't miss, and he almost did miss. You know, it looks like he tried his hardest to miss. But for me, nowhere near the level, Rasmus Højlund. And again, in the summer, it's over to Ineos, because if Ineos come through this next season and Rasmus Højlund and Garnacho are still at this club, again, I'll have to question this Ineos, because these two players cannot be starting next season for Man United. You know, they should not be starters. These guys need to be moved out the club, or if one of them happens to survive, which I don't know how, they're a bench option. You know, there's no more of this Garnacho and Højlund starting games for Manchester United. No way. So the quicker these two are moved on, the better for the club, you know. And then moving on to the subs. Again, I've already touched on Ahmad. You know, Ahmad just shows levels and was instrumental in this 4-1 victory. Mason Mount, I've already mentioned, you know, 2 world-class finishes. But again, let's keep it into perspective. You know, he hasn't been doing that week in, week out, and he now has to carry that on. Would I sell Mason Mount at the end of the season? 100%. Is he going to be sold? It's unlikely because of obviously the wage that he's on. But I don't want to see people start saying, you know, he's proven that why he's wearing number 7. You know, he has to be starting games now over what 25 minutes, 25 30 minutes. I don't want to see people saying that, you know, because again, this is what fans do. You know, they get very excited over minor things, really. You know, let's just enjoy it tonight. You know, he had 2 world-class moments, but on the whole, he's been very poor since he's played, and obviously has been injury prone. So we'll have to wait and see what he does in the next coming games. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, big up obviously his 2 goals. Guys, big up yourselves. If it's your first time coming in, make sure you smash that like button, and again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Just gonna go through some of the talk, some of the comments. Sorry. So Gamer says 4 goals in like 30 minutes or something is good. Yeah, listen, that was down to the substitutions. And again, people will say, you know, it was Amarim's substitutions. But again, he's making these substitutions because he's messed up in the first place. Because as I said in the match preview today, he needed to play attacking players to go on to give Athletic Bilbao something to think about. But he played the same team that I knew he was going to play and invited pressure. And he's taken the subs. He's taken the subs. Sorry, I was watching the bet. Bet is 4-3 up. Okay. He's taken the subs to change the game and get United over the line, because I think if those subs not made, I could see Bilbao getting another goal and making it a tense finish. You know, so United for me, as I say, the scoreline looks good. 6-1 on aggregate. Oh, sorry, 7-1. 7-1? Yeah, 7-1 aggregate. 4-1 on the night. But this second leg was far from the truth, you know. Let's just say the subs changed it, you know. Big up to Daniela. Well done to Man United. Big up to Barbara Joseph. Man U killed it with that score. Is the manager safe then? What I would say is that for me, he's not safe because he still has to navigate United over the line in this Europa League final. You know, obviously the next few games, they've got West Ham at home in the league. Then they've got Chelsea on, I believe, Friday. And then I believe it might be the Europa League final then. You know, and then they've got Aston Villa last game of the season. So for me, he's not safe because he has to win this Europa League. Otherwise, my decision still, me personally, I'm still saying he has to get sacked. But he's given himself a chance, really. That's what I would say. But let's not lie. This was a very poor performance that was just that was changed really by the subs and quality from Ahmad and Mason Mount. Let's be honest. And obviously, Kobe Manu come on as well, played his part. But yeah, the sub saved him. Let's be honest. Big up to Miro. So Michael Kirby says Mount and Ahmad behind Højlund in the final. Surely, then it's just a choice between Casemiro and Ugarte. So for me, with what's available right now for Man United, again the back 3. If Matthias de Ligt is back, then it's going to be interesting because Lenny Yoro has to play. You would think Maguire plays because he has been playing Maguire. So where does de Ligt figure? Because you've got to try and fit in Mazraoui. Unless, whoa. In actual fact, I can see him. I think if everyone's fit, obviously the likes of Xerxes and that are out to the end of the season. But the team should be, for me, Onana in goal, the back 3 of Matthias de Ligt in the middle. Lenny Yoro, right side centre back. Mazraoui, left side centre back. I'm gonna play Patrick Dorgu as the right wing back. Left wing back, I'll probably go with Luke Shaw. Casemiro and Bruno in the midfield. Ahmad, Mason Mount, or Kobe Minu. Do you know what? I want to see Kobe play. So I would say Ahmad, Kobe Minu, and probably Hoyland because he's the only other option. You know, that's what I would go for. But again, what he's gonna do is gonna be something similar to tonight. I think the only difference might be I think Ahmad's gonna start. It's just where Ahmad starts, to be honest with you. But again, man, because Mount got the 2 goals, I don't know if he starts, because one thing I tell you right now is that Garnacho looked lost after the game, because again, he's come off and he's seen Ahmad and Mount come on really and show him up. And I think he'll be looking at it thinking, you know, there's been speculation about his future. And if I'm honest, he looks done out here now, Garnacho. And I think he knew that as well. Big up to Fatima. Big up for coming on. Big up to Jazzy Jeff. Big up Jazzy Jeff, man. Fresh Prince. Big Dana says, big up to Leanne Cutter as well. This guy knows his football, 100%. Football's my life. And, you know, I find this easy talking about football. But big up yourself. Big up to Ronaldo, Makalu as well. So Viva captain Casemiro. You listen, Casemiro is the real captain. You know, he's shown over these last couple of games in the Europa League, he's the captain at this club. You know, he's a leader. He's the most experienced. He's won the most. You know, and again, the fact that he's being captained by Bruno Fernandes is a disgrace. Let's be honest, because he's the real captain. But again, another important moment from him tonight. Big up to Zach Lundy. Thoughts on the PSG Barca match? Inter Barca match, he means. Yeah, as I said, man, if you would have seen my match reaction to that game, I was absolutely gutted for Barcelona because, again, I predicted Barca to win the whole thing. But although I said Inter were my dark horses for the tournament, and obviously they've made the final. But for me, I felt like Barca gave the game away because, you know, Inter are a tough team to beat. But in that second half, Inter looked like they were beaten. And Barca, you know, they had a chance from Eric Garcia when they were, I think they were 2-1 down, I believe. Or it might have been 2-2. And he hit the ball straight at the keeper. I think they were 2-2. And I think he hit the ball straight at the keeper, which was a poor finish. And obviously they had the Lamine Yamal in normal time as well. The chance that he missed. But Barca's high line was causing them problems all game. And Inter were getting through at will. So I think that they only have themselves to blame, really, you know. And the likes of Pedri, Frankie de Jong, Lamine Yamal, these are the kind of players you want to see playing in finals. And the fact that, you know, they're out of this tournament now, you know, it's hard to take, really. But they'll be back because they've got too much quality in their team to not be back in a semi-final again. But I think they're going to need to make some important additions in the summer and probably see if they can move some players on as well. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, my prediction for the final, I'm going to say PSG. But I think it's not going to be easy. So Lauren Birch says, Man U are different in Europe from a Rangers fan. Yeah, Lauren, listen, what I would say is United have been very fortunate, as I said, because against Lyon, well, Real Sociedad, Lyon, and Athletic Bilbao, the last 3 Europa League games, United have played against 10 men. And you'd expect any team to really, you know, be in charge against 10 men. The Lyon game, again, was an absolute shambles. And it's taken a bit of magic from Casemiro, really, to get them over the line. He won the penalty. And obviously, he played the ball into Harry Maguire for the goal. You know, obviously, Bilbao, first leg, 10 men. You know, United done a good job in seeing that off, which gave them the cushion for this game. And obviously, Bilbao missing their 4 best players, you would say. And yeah, as I said, so Man United have been fortunate. And again, they're still unbeaten in this competition. But against Tottenham, you know, obviously Tottenham, you know, don't really win any trophies. But this final, as I say, is not going to be easy. So United are going to need to be on their A game against Tottenham because, again, it's going to be a make or break for both managers. And it's going to be good because, again, if Man United don't win this, then I want to see Amorim sacked because the season hasn't been good enough. And if Tottenham don't win, you'd expect to see Ange Postecoglou sacked as well. So this is going to be a tense final. And again, I'm going to be doing a watch along for it. And I'll be looking forward to that game. So yeah, I already answered that. Inter PSG. I'm gonna say PSG to win, but it's not gonna be easy. But I'm gonna say PSG 2-1. I'm gonna go for. So Gamer says the quarterfinal was tougher than the semi-final. Yeah, it was, and I tell you why that is. Is because if you look at Leon have players in their team that are individual talents. You know, you got Ryan Cherky. You know, you had the young guy that come on the left wing. I forgot his name. You had what's his name? Forgot his name. I forgot his name. The striker that played. You know, he's got moments of individual brilliance as well. So they had more players in their team that could, you know, flip a switch and just show something. I think with Bilbao, again, that the first leg, you know, Bilbao were down to 10 men. And again, their forward players were poor as well. So the fact that they had Oyan Sanset, who didn't play in either leg, who's their top scorer, and obviously the Williams brothers that didn't play, Bilbao were always going to be up against it, you know. And but as I said, I think going into this final is going to be interesting because I look at Tottenham's defence of Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, and Pedro Porro. And I think, personally, Rasmus Højlund, who's the only available striker right now, I think if he doesn't have an average game or a good game, I think United might be in trouble because you've got Romero, who's going to rough him up, but then you've got Mickey Van der Ven, who's got the recovery pace, you know. And if the ball keeps going back to front so quick from Højlund, it's going to invite pressure onto Man United, you know. So these are the kind of key details that are going to be in play. And again, Højlund's going to play, but unless he's holding the ball up or running the channels, Tottenham have players that can counter that because, as I said, Christian Romero is going to get physical with him, you know, and Mickey Van der Ven is arguably the quickest defender in world football. And you got Udogie as well, who's quick. So yeah, they're gonna be up for the game, and United better make sure that they've got something for Tottenham because Tottenham have had United's number over the last. I think I heard a stat the other today that since 2022, United haven't beaten Tottenham, you know, and Tottenham have already beaten United, I think 3 times this season. So yeah, but you'd think that United get into the final, you know, that they're going to get over the line. But who knows? It's going to be interesting. It's interesting. Gamer says Inter Milan still playing for the league. Yep, they are. I think Napoli are. I think Napoli might be a point or 2 ahead. But again, Inter out of the. I think they got beaten in a Coppa Italia final, I think, as well. But yeah, Inter are going for the league, Champions League. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because PSG going for a treble, Inter going for a double. So as I said, it's going to be an interesting final. And then you've got the Man United and Tottenham, who both teams are separated by a point, you know, and both managers are under pressure. So yeah, these 2 finals, guys, it's going to be interesting, man. But again, we're going to be headed for that. As I said, I will be doing a watch along for the Europa League final because this is going to be a game not to be missed. And as I said, whoever loses that game, the other manager is going to be under serious pressure, you know. But United, yeah, United back on, I think they're back on Sunday against West Ham at home. And again, it's going to be a game that United need to at least not lose, you know. And then they've got Chelsea on the Friday again. So there's 2 games there that United are going to need to somehow navigate their way through, you know, whether it's a point or a win. But if United happen to get 2 negative results against Chelsea, against West Ham and Chelsea, that Europa League final is going to be massive, because if he happens to not do well against, or happens to get beat by Tottenham in the Europa League final, he can't possibly keep his job. Cannot possibly keep his job. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, big up Rutton Gamer. So Newcastle against Chelsea Sunday at home. Again, for me, whoever wins this game, I think will guarantee themselves in the Champions League next season. You know, and again, whoever wins this game will find themselves a point behind Arsenal, who have to go to Liverpool later on at 4:30. So it's a massive game. I think the best thing for Arsenal really would be a draw between both teams. But I think both teams will be going for it. And I think, again, the prize is Champions League football, because whoever wins that game will surely be in the Champions League next season, you know. And again, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. But guys, big up everyone for coming on. Again, make sure you smash the like button. Obviously, we've got 11 likes, which is decent, you know. If you haven't smashed that like button, again, it's only 1 click of the button. And if you haven't subscribed, guys, make sure you do. As I said, big up everyone for coming in. Big up for your comments as well, each and every time. And guys, I'm going to be back possibly tomorrow. I'm not sure what time yet, but I will schedule a stream. Obviously, we'll see if there's any news that's breaking. But yeah, Man United into the Europa League final against Tottenham, an all-English final. You know, United didn't really do it the easy way, you know, because as I said, this scoreline and the aggregate score looks like United absolutely dominated the game. But Bilbao were in the game in the first half, and again, missing players, and, you know, had a couple of chances as well. But ultimately, in the end, the subs have won the game for United. And United now, May 21st, Europa League final against Tottenham. And literally, it's going to be a game, you know, of what manager will get sacked, really. That's my opinion, because whoever loses this game either deserves the sack or will get sacked. So it's going to be an interesting game for me. And as I said, I will be doing a live watch along. So if you do want to join me, guys, make sure your notifications are on to see when I've scheduled it. But yeah, May 21st, guys, we can look forward to now, Europa League final. And Man United have a chance to win a trophy that ultimately some teams just can't do, i.e. Arsenal, you know. So, but yeah, guys, big up yourselves anyway. And as I said, I will be back tomorrow, so make sure you're keeping a check out for that. But big up to everyone for coming on and contributing to the channel. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.